Hello everyone. Before we dive into today's video, I want to share with you the sponsor for this video, and that is FlexiSpot. Specifically, this soutien, which I believe means support in French, ergonomic office chair. And they sent one to me, and so far it's been great. It's got 3D lumbar support system, where you can adjust the height and levels so that it conforms to your specific preferences. Also, the armrest has a 4D motion, so it goes all these different ways, up, down, sideways, left and right, as well as the ultimate breathable mesh with a 45-degree backrest tilt. This can be locked so that it doesn't tilt backward, which is how I tend to prefer it, but sometimes, yeah, I'll just chill back. And of course, the adjustable seat depth, which moves the part you're sitting on forward and backward. It's pretty easy to set up, took me about 25 minutes, and for more info, check out the link in the description. Having said that, let's dive into today's video. And you know, it's like, get in there for all the beard references and, you know, look for the overall shape, the silhouette, and then the texture. So the shape is like, you have these kind of, let's grab this brush. You know, it's like this kind of S-curve noodle situation. And that has its own geometry as if they're like, you know, worms. Same thing over here. And then that's going to cause a very specific silhouette. Not that you have to copy that. And then breaking the silhouette are these little strands. So it's like, there's a lot of information that you can borrow from this. So when you go to over here, you can now borrow that idea, and it's like, okay, well, we know the geometry of the chin goes down like this, then out again. And I do that for myself so I know where we're coming from. And then I would add geometry of the beard coming out. Unless you intended that the chin is this whole big thing, which is fine too. But yeah, so I would probably have some of those noodle shapes, some S-curves. Almost looks like tentacles. And then let them curl at the end. And it's like, if this is the guy that people don't take seriously, maybe that's for a reason. Maybe he looks unkempt or like a homeless person or something. And then that would be your guide for the shading and the geometry. So now you can just bring that back down to mid value. And then treat the tops of them as, or treat the geometry of them as though they were 3D shapes. Let's lower the opacity of the line work. And then add some shadow, maybe like between them. And I'm not gonna obviously do everything, but then let the stray hairs kind of go out, right? So yeah, that would be the kind of exploration that you can do.
Awesome, yeah, that looks way more in line with what I wanted.
Like even the beard can be its own 3 or 4 pages of different ideation and exploration. Cool. Right. Any more questions on this?
Not really a question, just a general problem that I had was like, basically I can sort of I was able to kind of just vomit out ideas a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a hard time being like really intentional with the ideas. So I feel like basically, I think like 2 of them actually felt like the prompt, and the other ones were just like me letting a sketch happen.
Yeah.
So like the 2 on the left, the top and the bottom on the left, those do not feel like the prompt at all, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And it's like, do you have any tips for being able to control that intentionality a little better while still remaining explorative, right?
Yeah, and it's stop trying to control it. Like, let those happen. Not everything on the page has to be for that intention. It might be that you have to do something like this first to realize that's not it, to move on to something that is more it, right? So even that is part of the process. You just don't see it on people's sketches. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't worry too much about trying to make everything align with that intention, and just explore. And then if you were to do 20 of these or 30 of these, you'll discover even more variation of possibilities, and then you just X out the ones that don't fit, and then you show the ones that do for that prompt.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think it's more of just a mindset thing. Like, they're good, but regarding ideation, so yeah, it's like I'm just gonna borrow some information from these dudes. Gonna grab a ball of clay. That's a pretty close value. Yeah, sure, why not? So right now I'm just imagining it's a lump of clay. Now I want to be able to push and pull some values of information and see which ones kind of lend to that form. So I just look at this and says as though they took the piece of clay and they pressed into it for eye sockets. So when I'm ideating, I'm going to press in like that, and it's like, okay, well, let's pull out for the nose. So I'm going to put a high value here, and then a bit of a forehead thing, and then I could kind of escape and like look at some other reference. I love the eye bags here. That's pretty cool. So I'm just going to lay that in like that. And once I've got these value groups where I want them to be, I can start just painting and blending things. But from here, the question is like, regarding stylization and exploration, whereas with line you could just make a big nose with a drawing, here you have to do it with more information. So it's like I might pull this down a little bit further and make the nostril bigger, but it's like it's a bit more work, and I think that's probably why line work might feel a bit more intuitive. But I think if you practice this, it just becomes another tool in your tool belt for why is that pink? Stop it. For ideation. It's like no one's going to take this guy seriously, right? Maybe, I don't know. Really big ears, and I think this method is effective for me because I could probably communicate shape design better with like a blob like that than if I was to do it with line and try to do a circle. Like I could do both ways, but for me this is just the more effective way because the brush shape is already there. It does it for me, and it's like I could switch over to a different brush shape like this, and that would also offer its own different permutations of possibilities. And then I could put in some values, push out or pull out some geometry from there. And actually from here, I would probably do a quick sketch over it. Like, okay, well, let's be specific and delineate stuff. Let's make the nostrils do something like this. That line do something like that. And then you can see how you can develop a quick idea from there. Now, granted, it is a bit tricky, but the more you practice it in that manner, the better. Got it? Any questions on that?